Thank you. Thank you. All right. This is great. So I am Davin Auble of Douglas County School System. Welcome to my beautiful office in Douglasville, Georgia. And I'm just delighted to introduce you to some wonderful people. My capacity here is I am Douglas County's liaison who coordinates the Project Nurture grant and the 5-year partnership with Georgia State University. It's one of the most fun parts of my job. I taught for 7 years myself through an alternative certification program that was in Chicago public schools. And I stayed in the classroom for 7 years, learning to be a good middle school teacher before I came out. And some of the work I did in my first 5 years out of the classroom, I coached teachers and supported teachers and mentored teachers for the Chicago teacher residency. So when we started the little Douglas County Project Nurture residency, it was a great fit for me and I really enjoy it. So today, let me one at a time let these beautiful people introduce themselves. Unfortunately, one of our panelists had to drop out. She's feeling really ill this morning, so send her all your healing energy. But was everybody here? I'll bet for the most part, probably most of you heard Mr. North's address this morning. Superintendent North? Yes? Yes. So if you did, you know, it was great fun and we worked for a great man. But he told a story about one of the Project Nurture residents who he didn't realize when he met him that he wasn't already a teacher, because he already acted like a teacher and had a lot of the skills of a teacher, but he had to jump through the hoops and go through a residency to become a certified teacher. And that is Mr. Wilford Smith. Will you take it from here?
How you doing? My name is Wilford Smith, and yes, I started as a para through the Douglas County school system. Well, actually, I started out as a sub. Started falling in love with the school because as a sub, you kind of get steered to like one place a lot. So I kept going back to New Manchester High School and kind of fell in love with the school. And then at a certain point, I was trying to get in, even though I had already had a master's degree and was currently working on a PhD. None of my degrees were in education; they were all in business or management. So as I was about to enter another alternative pathway, Project Nurture came up. And so I immediately, went and reached out to Davin and the people running the program, and they brought me in, which is probably, since I'm on my anniversary, I'm gonna say that's the second best decision I ever made. I'm not saying that because she's standing right there watching either. But yes, it was an awesome experience. I can tell you, earning a master's degree in one calendar year is no easy feat, but the work and everything that was gained through this experience was well worth it. My classmates and I, even though it was a distance learning situation because of COVID, we are so connected. You would have thought we spent some number of years, 4 to 2 years, on a college campus with each other because we are just that connected. And that's not just the people who were actually in my building. I was fortunate enough that about it was like 5 of us going through the cohort in my one building. So that kind of, helped. We were able to cry on each other's shoulder, offer support, and things like that. Um, Through Project Nurtures, I've had uh, a, a great number of opportunities to address different audiences. I was even able to go to California and talk about some of the research that we actually did through Project Nurture, which actually looked at how to, create that social emotional learning environment. And it was just awesome. My experience, my classmates, the support, and that's the number one thing that I can't emphasize enough about Project Nurture is the support. Like my background is a lot different. I come from law enforcement and I grew up in the inner city. So I really wasn't, I didn't understand how to use a mentor. I've had people throughout my life try to help and guide me, but I never really understood how you reach out to a mentor, like when those times of trouble come up. And Project Nurture actually showed me how to use the support that was available to me. And that probably was one of the best lessons I learned. And that is what I took into my first year teaching, and it created like just an awesome experience because I was able to connect to my co-teachers, I was able to connect to the students, and then a lot of the other staff members on my floor because my experiences through Project Nurture.
Thank you.
Sorry, I think I took a little bit more than the
All
2 minutes.
right. Well, since we're missing one, we'll say you've got Mary's time too. But yes, and thank you to Will, who is celebrating his anniversary to his lovely bride out in Savannah, but taking a few minutes away from the celebrating to be with us today. So now let me go to the flip side, because of course an important part of residency is having a full year that you're mentored by someone who's a seasoned veteran teacher. So Mary's own, Mary, who wasn't able to be with us today, we have her own mentor teacher, Miss German, Soraya German. Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, hello. I'm Soraya German. I've been an educator for over 17 years. I've taught elementary school, middle school, and high school. Those years I've been teaching students with special needs. With the exception of 1 year, I've been teaching in self-contained classroom. So when I was asked to become a mentor, I was truly humbled because I kind of downplay what I do. But one thing was, Mary Payne was my paraprofessional for over 7 years. And we don't give them their just desserts. They are in the trenches. And I kept telling Mary, you need to get your master's degree. You need to find a way to become a teacher. You need to use all these tools that you have for our babies. And when we got the email from Davin, we just looked at each other. I was like, this is perfect. This is perfect. This is what you need to do, Mary. No ifs, ands. I'm going to be here to support you. And I didn't even know I was going to be her mentor. So that was just a plus right there. I'm a career changer. So the way I got into the field of education was through a program similar to Project Nurture in New York, which was called the Teaching Fellows. So when I was given this opportunity to be a mentor, I was so excited because I felt like I was able to assist and contribute to promoting educators in a part of education that I often feel is downplayed, in that special education. And, we just need compassionate, empathetic nurturers. And I really believe that Project Nurture fosters that type of educator. So I'm very proud and humbled to be a part of this experience.
Thank you so much. Just beautifully said, Soraya. Thank you for that. I am just for y'all who see me going back and forth, I am struggling to figure out how to pin and unpin people in Zoom. This is not my expertise. But
Davin, would you like me to be the host so I can do it for you?
I would love it, please. Thank you.
Is there any way that you can slide your mouse over my screen right now?
You are Erin talking, aren't you?
Project Nurture.
Okay, give me one moment. Forgive me, everybody else. And then we're going to introduce another of our mentor teachers who is in a different situation. Actually, while I slide my mouse, let me go ahead and let Miss Brandy Jones start speaking because I know how to pin her. So she had the opposite experience. Miss German was working with her own paraprofessional as her mentor. Brandy stepped up and had what we call a traditional resident this year. So she had essentially a full-time science teacher or science student teacher for the entire year. But Brandy, would you take over?
I will. I have been doubly blessed because I was able to be a mentor for Project Nurture, but I also was part of their AFT. So I am Brandy Jones. I am the one who just said she was doubly blessed. I am so happy that I work for Douglas County Schools. I am a science teacher at Lithia Springs High School. We are the STEM magnet for the county, and I am the lead STEM teacher there. And it's my 5-year anniversary today from when I signed my contract with Douglas County Schools. I just love it. But I've been teaching since 2004, and I was kind of getting a little burnt out. I don't know if anyone else in this profession has ever felt that before either. And then last year, over the summer, I got an email from Davin about this. And I want to say that if you ever get the chance to be a part of Project Nurture, grab it and take it and go, because it ignites almost like a fire back in you and back in your teaching. And it'll bring a lot of good stuff just from you as well. Yes, it is. It's just great. It is a family. It is working with a family. Some of the greatest people. I cannot think of one person who I did not just have the absolute best experiences with through the whole thing. And these are not empty words. No one was ever not helpful or not just welcoming and loving. And my mentee, she was wonderful. Everything that the mentees do, what Will said earlier about it's not easy, it's not. And then they're teaching as much as they can. They're attending meetings with you and everything. It is just like this super crammed year. And maybe that's why Project Nurture is just full of the best people. You've got to have the best people for all of this. But it has just been such a joy. And I hope to get to do it again later on. I'm not sure, Davin, if you want me to introduce Isatu as well, or if you wanted to do that.
No, I think you know her much
Okay.
better than I do, and we're honored that she could join us.
We are. So I am very honored as the lead STEM teacher there. I have one of my STEM magnet students here who I actually kind of pushed and then took to Georgia State with me over the summer to be part of the AFT program. She is wonderful. She is so dedicated in all of her studies, so respectful. Best smile in the world. And her name is Isatu Karoma, and she's going to go on next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Isatu Karoma. I attend Lithia Springs High School as a STEM student. And I can just say, just from going to it, being in the AFT program, I've learned a lot. Just from even the first week, like skills that I didn't even know I would need, I grabbed and I grasped. For example, the first week we were teaching students, and I didn't know that maybe not all the time everything is going to go according to plan. So that was something I learned from AFT. AFT really helped me to understand the meaning of the importance of teaching and and how much work that actually goes into teaching in itself. And all in all, I feel like it was just a great experience, especially with all of the teachers. There was definitely a family feel to the program. I feel like we all bonded in some sort of way. I've learned something. I learned coding. I didn't know I was good at coding. I did that. I feel like AFT really helped me to have a better understanding of what it takes to teach, and have a better understanding of how much work goes into it and how I can learn from it. And even so, what I can, ask my teachers, okay, so maybe this needs, or maybe this would be a better way, So I feel like it was all in all a good experience for me personally. So yeah.
All right, thank you and welcome. It's just so exciting for teachers, those of us seasoned old folks, and the new who are just coming into the profession, to have a student with us to share it. You are the future, so awesome. Wow, let's see, so let's dig in. We're going to come back and talk a little more about AFT, but I think since most of us are primarily interested in the residency experience, we're going to go a little deeper with that. My hope had been to have Soraya and Mary to have a conversation now that they've been apart from each other, but Soraya, would you mind just sort of, if you were to have a conversation with Mary and knowing what she's doing now, and I think you're even moving over to be in the same school as she is, what do you think you guys would talk about? What have you learned from, what do you think now looking back in time?
I am so excited. It's almost like the team is back together again. The dynamic duo, we're like sharing a kitchen. Is just going to be amazing. I'm just so excited to be able to work alongside her in a different capacity now. With Mary being an educator now, she's able to collaborate in a different way with me. So when she first started the program, she would come back and throw so many terms at me and different kinds of strategies. And I'm like, Mary, what are you talking about? But she was just so excited to implement it with our students. And I, in turn, was learning from her also, because there were different ways to reach the students. And there was even a component where we were able to provide constructive criticism after our day. And that was so rewarding because she was able to tell me certain things that maybe I should work on, or that really worked well, vice versa. So we just collaborated so well. She just felt so comfortable going in and taking that leadership role. And with me, I'm kind of a control freak. So that was a lesson for me to be able to let go. And it was going to be okay, and sit back and just reflect. So that's something that I believe that I'm going to be taking with me when I go to high school. Now I'm so excited, going from elementary to high school. It's just being able to kind of let go, sit back and just observe and be able to reflect. So it was just such a joy to see her coming out of her shell, to become more confident. Like Will had mentioned, she was able to fall back on the fellow nurturers. And even though it was hard because of the time with the pandemic and having a family and school and working, I can tell that she felt very rewarded by it. And that in turn made me so very excited. So even now, I'll call her, Mary, meet me at the school so we can go and collaborate a little bit. And, she'll get up and meet me there and just kind of run through what's going on. And, I've been home over the summer and I'm like, well, let's do this and we'll do this and we'll do that. So I'm bubbling with ideas, and I'm just so excited to be working alongside her again.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. And staying with that mentor, with the mentor view of things, Ms. Jones, Ms. Brandy, do you mind coming back in and saying what was different? I mean, you've just completed your residency year. Your mentee is going to come back and be a colleague in your science department. The reason she couldn't join us today is because today's the first day of new teacher orientation. Yeah. So talk to us a little more.
No, the program, it was just wonderful. This year, am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Okay, sorry. Sorry, guys. I just want to say, first of all, thank goodness for smartphones. My computer would never connect to this, so I'm trying to join you guys from this, but my screen is like this big, so I apologize. This year with Project Nurture has been great. If any of you are considering it, I'm not sure who's all here and watching this with us, if you're thinking if this is for you or not. They start from the very beginning, laying out everything you're going to do, who you can contact for support. And if you happen to lose those emails, you can always message Davin. Miss Abla has been great with all of that. But I had a mentor who was actually a transplant from Canada. And she's not even really just a colleague now. She is more like my family. She will be part of our science department. And I am so, so happy. She's actually going to be in the room right next door to me. The thing that helps you and gives you this new sense of energy or drive is that you watch them. It's almost like your child growing in this process, seeing her from the beginning and her improving classroom management, your tips, everything that you have just gotten down as a mentor teacher, being able to pass that on to someone else, like the do's, the don'ts. It was great for me to be able to think of everything I wanted to know when I first started teaching, but no one told me. That you get to do that. You get to guide someone and you get to give them that first year experience that you really wanted yourself. And it was just great. It was just great. She was wonderful. All of the help, all of the guides, everything. She even taught me some new tips and tricks that were in lesson plans now. The Georgia State lesson plans are no joke. I just want to say that. But she even came back and brought me some new ideas. So it wasn't like I was just giving her knowledge the whole time. It really helped me too, to see in a science lab room how someone else would approach something. Or since I've been teaching since Jesus was alive, the new tips and tricks that the educational world is using now. So it was just great all around.
Your passion is intense, and I've loved having you all year bringing that to us. How about Will, go back to the resident side of the situation. How do you think, you've now gone through a full year of residency, a full year of teaching as the teacher of record, and now you're going into your second year. What wisdom do you have looking back?
Well, the first thing I would say is be afraid, be very afraid. Now, to be honest with you, because because Project Nurture is basically an all-inclusive program, meaning we were walking the halls every day with the students. We engaged with the students, even though we weren't at the time teacher of record. We were a little bit beyond being a para, but not exactly a teacher. So we got a chance to closely identify. And as far as like on the job training goes, like this was the best experience I've ever had, because even though your mentor isn't gonna hold your hand through the process, there's so much support and so much guidance in there that it almost feels as if someone is holding your hand and walking you through that whole experience. But by the time you are actually in the classroom, it feels so familiar. Like, it's not that you know everything, but your questions aren't so limiting that you're, one, afraid to ask, and two, that you can't kind of navigate some of the stuff. Now, it's obviously a great deal of a difference in actually being the actual teacher of record than just being the person cheering from the cheap seats. But because you've had so a close relationship with your mentors, with your teachers that you're working with through this process, and Brittany keeps her eyes on you coming to do those observations, like it seems like once a month. Your ability to manage the classroom and to engage the students, it doesn't feel as if you just stepped out of college and now someone expects you to run a marathon. It feels as if you've been running small sprints along the way, and when the time comes for that big race, you're very prepared and capable.
I love that analogy. And I know a big part of what keeps the residents feeling so bonded together is doing that pretty much monthly. They have an online virtual professional learning community that the future, the almost Dr. Brittany White leads, along with Dr. Patterson and trading out with some other folks. And often when I visited the residents, I think they saw me at least once just break into tears because I was just so jealous of what a wonderful experience they were having. And I was like, I had the most traumatic induction into teaching of a sink or swim in a terrible situation. It's kind of amazing I survived, but there were just times I was just like, I am so happily jealous for our residents. They are really being set up for a successful career and a happy career. And I don't know, Brittany, I know you're on the call. Would you like to put on your camera or your voice and just say a thing or two to us? You've worked with all these wonderful people.
Yeah, 1 second. Yes, hey everybody, I am Brittany White, and I will like to say I can't believe it's been a decade since I've been a teacher resident in NetQ. So that was way back in the day. But yeah, Project Nurture, it really is just a privilege. And during the interviews when we were recruiting the residents, oh, thank you, Will. When we're recruiting the residents, I tell them just how honored I am to be a part of it, and then just how much I've learned. And like Will said, he hit the nail on the head when he says that it's not easy. We tell them this in the interviews. It is a rigorous process going through the coursework. I think they're taking like 3 classes this summer. So we acknowledge that it's not easy, but they do know that they have a big support system. And I think that's what one of the necessary components is when we're talking about retaining teachers, is that constant support. And so, yes, I do evaluate them, but they know, like, I've built that relationship with them to know that it's not just evaluative. I have your back. Like, I'm going to give you feedback, and I'll also show you how to do it. And so I think that's, as a former teacher, that's something that is definitely necessary, like somebody being in the trenches with you. So, and then the last thing I'll say is just our PLC, as I was saying in the chat, that is truly a safe space. We all together create community norms, and we all have buy-in into what we are looking for in the community. And so, yeah, that is one of my favorite parts of the entire residency is the PLC. So yes, I'm happy to talk to anybody else who would like to know more about Project Nurture.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me put you on the spot. I appreciate it. But I know how deeply invested you are in all the people in this screen. And while we're here, also just a shout out to those who aren't clear about it, what Project Nurture is. It's funded by the Federal Department of Education. It's a grant. It's a 5-year grant that Georgia State won. And we are just, Douglas County Schools, we are just fortunate that we've had the opportunity to be selected as one of the main partners for this 5-year process. And again, Will came out of cohort 1, which was 9 resident teachers. Cohort 2 is at new teacher orientation now. We have 6 brand new teachers who completed residency last year. And we're starting right now at Georgia State. We have 8 cohort 3 residents who are underwater, I believe, with how much graduate coursework they are keeping up with. One of the other components of the grant, I want to take advantage, since we have the lovely Miss Koroma with us, is this Academy for Future Teachers, which is the idea that how can we expose more of our high school students to the possibility of teaching in a realistic way, not just seeing a movie about it, but actually a practice. Miss Koroma, if you are there, would you be willing to come back on camera for us and tell us just how the 3-week program worked and what, just some examples of what a typical day was like at AFT?
So in the beginning, on the first day, we had a group discussion with everybody, included our mentors and all the students, having a conversation about just a rundown, you would say, of what the 3 weeks ahead would be like for us. During the first week, it was the process of teachers teaching students how to teach children. So they would teach us like certain methods of how they would teach, and we would find our own ways which we were comfortable in teaching students. We would teach students as well. Actually, we went in person on the first week to teach, me in person on the first week to teach a group of elementary children. And you could tell that it was a lot of thinking and planning that had to go in it. You would have to pre-plan ahead, plan your lesson plan, make sure it fits into your time, and be able to relay that information to them and still have them grasp it and learn it and maintain it and also make it fun so that they're able to to retain the information as well and stay focused. So that was the first week. The second week, I was teaching math, so I had to make it a fun way, and that went really well. We were making it in a way so as the students would, well, my team, the students we would have like a PowerPoint and they would answer questions from it and we would have a group discussion. So it was more of a informal thing. So they were comfortable with us. And so that made it easier for them to retain stuff and ask questions if need be. They were able to ask questions and that helped them grasp stuff that they may have not understood at first. And so that worked really well. In the third week, I taught science and it went very nicely. The students grasped the information, they asked questions. It refreshed a lot of students' memories on stuff that, they may have forgotten about because there were different age levels from grades 8 through 12. And so they were able to grasp new information. They were teaching us, we were teaching them. It was really a good experience overall. Like we were able to both learn from each other and get constructive criticism from each other as well, which really helped us to be able to do better for our next, teaching experience.
It's just so exciting to hear you talk. Thank you for sharing all that. I mean, isn't it, you're going into your sophomore year, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, here you are, a high school sophomore who already is an advocate for teachers, who sort of understands the process, who understands how complex it is, and also hopefully a little bit about how much joy you can get from it. And Miss Brandy, do you want to say a little more about teaching at AFT? Like, how was it to teach the young teachers, the young future teachers?
Oh, it was the whole reason that we are educators is because we want to pass on knowledge. We want to ignite this spark, for me, this love for science, and you want to pass that on to your students. This process was just great. Each week we challenged the students. They arose to the challenge. And again, just like I said, when I learned from my mentee during Project Nurture, I picked up some great new tips and tricks from the students. There's one student who keeps typing over in the chat, Cole Buffington. We named him Dr. Buffington. His energy and his love, the way that he even reviews, teachers were really good at stealing things, and I'm stealing some of the methods that I learned from the kids this summer. It was great. I will say this too. If any of you teach high school in Douglas County, sign your kids up or push them, give them the information for AFT. This was so great getting to see our students out of the bubble. Our Douglas County bubble is great, but getting them, they got to go to Fernbank. They did field trips, and this is all free. This grant is amazing for our students. It is so eye-opening for them. They get to teach students that were at a homeless shelter. They get to go all over Atlanta, and they get to learn from different. We have lunch and learns. That's what ICT was talking about. We all learned how to code. Coding is not for me, but I did not know that until we had the lunch and learn with computer science. It's just so many different opportunities for them. So if you are a high school teacher and you have students 9th through 12th grade, we had students that had already graduated that were planning on going to college. Please sign them up for this. Get in touch with Brittany. Email me if you need to, and we'll get them there. But it is just so wonderful to get to see your students going through this experience as well. I would do it over again 1,000,000 times.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. And definite shout out for the great work that AFT, what a great offering that is for our high school students. So we're starting to wind down our time. I feel like we could all just bubble forever. I did see one question in the chat, which was, how do you become a mentor teacher? So I don't know. I know Gwinnett County, y'all are so much bigger. So I don't know how y'all work the process. I'm sure it's different in different places. I will say, having had some previous experience working with a residency program here in Douglas County, we envisioned a process that people would apply to become it, and this and that and those. But at the end of the day, it became more personal than that, because I knew For example, the Roche, who was Brandy's mentee, I knew she was going to be driving from Atlanta, so I tried to get a geographic location. I didn't want to put her on the far end of the county, so she had to drive halfway to Alabama every day. So I knew I wanted her to at one of those schools. I knew her personality pretty well from our interviews together. And so I collaborate personally with the principals to say, who I'm describing this resident teacher for you, who do you think would make a great mentor for her? And so far it's for the number, having less than 10 residents a year, that collaboration has worked for us. Let's see if anyone else has another question, please put it in the chat now. One of us will address it.
Was someone inquiring about Gwinnett County and becoming a mentor?
Yeah, is there a process that you guys use in Gwinnett?
Keisha Robinson would be the best person to contact in Gwinnett County. And as a matter of fact, Keisha will be on the afternoon, one of the breakout sessions, I believe, for the afternoon at 1:40. So
Great.
that would be a good time to even introduce yourself to her and to ask whatever questions you may have.
Excellent. Thank you for chiming in with that. Keisha Robinson of Gwinnett County coming up in just a few minutes. So let me just ask my panelists, we're not going to force you to say anything, but anyone who has any closing words you'd like to share, just unmute and chat.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Thank you, Will. I just want to say that Project Nurture is a success. And you all promote and empower teachers. And I think that that's the key. That's the beauty of this program and continued success. And in any way that I can help, please let me know. But you definitely are along the right track. And just like Davin said, I was part of a program that really threw me out, sink or swim. So you guys are on the right track.
I wanted to mention the fact that the way the program is structured, by the time you get to the school year, a lot of the information that you need to get you started is front loaded. So like pretty much halfway through the educational part, you have all of the classes out of the way that you need to help you move forward towards your certification. Like, it's not just a program in which you're just floating along or you're just taking these classes and you don't understand how they fit. Like, you get a real example of how each of these pieces fit together to form that entire framework. And that's probably the most important aspect of this program outside of the support that you receive.
Okay, to follow Will, I just want to say that this has just been a wonderful family, and I've just been very blessed to be a part of this. Thank you, Davin, for allowing me to be part of it. Thank you, Brittany, as well, for everything you've done for me and for Roche. And I just needed this in my career. I know this is very personal and very selfish, but this was perfect. This was meant to be. If anyone has any questions, if I can help anyone with anything, please just don't hesitate to reach out. I'm the only Brandy Jones in the county.
All right, I think unless our student would like to say a word, I believe that's probably a beautiful way for us to end. Thank you all for joining us. Namaste, and wish Will a happy anniversary celebration. Thanks, everyone, and please don't hesitate to contact us here in Douglas County.